Power 5 conference school. And I thought, well, that would be pretty cool. Again, I'd have to move, but I really didn't want to. So
right.
I'm on the road, and Wayne Larrivee announces after years of doing the Chiefs, I think he had done the Chiefs 5, 6, 7 years, he was going to leave and go to Chicago. And again, here I am, right place, right time. And Wayne Larrivee accepts the job to be the voice of the Bears. And that was the Mike Ditka, Fridge Perry, Walter Payton, Jim McMahon Bears. So it was a big deal and a gigantic market and a great job. So the Chiefs called Bob Springer. I know you remember Bob Springer, but he was a longtime PR director for the Chiefs, and said, hey, we'd like to hear what you sound like doing football. Do you have any tapes? I said, yeah, I've got some high school football tapes. I haven't done anything beyond small college football, but I could send those to you. So, well, I know what your NBA work sounds like, and that has us just about sold, but I think Lamar wants to hear how you would sound. He goes, let me think about this and I'll get back to you. So he calls back not too long after and says, would you go to Arrowhead or someplace and do a mock game with Len Dawson? And I said, well, of course. He said, well, the Missouri football game, the Missouri spring football game is going to be at Arrowhead Stadium coming up in 2 weeks. And would you, if we got an engineer and got everything working just like a regular broadcast, and you and Len did a half of that spring football game, would that work? And I said, absolutely. And I didn't know where I was going to be. I didn't know if I was in Kansas City or if I was anyplace else. And so we hung up, and I looked, where are we in 2 weeks? Oh, I'm in San Antonio on Friday night. Did the game Friday night, flew up to Kansas City, drove right from KCI out to Arrowhead, opened the door, and there's Len Dawson on a Saturday afternoon in the spring. And I knew Len because I was, like I said before, producing the pre-post halftime shows for the Chiefs Network and for KCMO. So I knew him in the booth, but knew him as a producer. Didn't know him as maybe a guy that I'd work with. And of course, then I did the Kings for 2 years, and we got to run into each other out at Kemper Arena when they were playing there. But again, just hello and just very friendly, always nice. But now there's a chance that was going to be, we were going to be a pair. And so I'm thinking, here's Len Dawson on a spring afternoon after working all week, and he's doing the game with me, so that it can help me. And so we do the game on tape, and they had organized me to come in to see Lamar on Monday morning. And I walk into Lamar Hunt's office, and in his boardroom, which there is Jack Stedman at one end of the table, and next to him is Lamar Hunt, and then there's Bob Springer, and I walk in, and Lamar, who's always been so gracious and kind, always, but a man of few words. He doesn't sit and just go on and on and on, but he was incredibly kind and said, hey, listen to the tape. I love it. I think it'll be a great new pairing for us, and we'd like to offer you the job. And Jack Stedman didn't say much, but he nodded and was kind in a couple of things that he said. And then Bob Springer was happy because I had worked with Bob so closely, just getting players and things for that pregame show I was doing. And so it worked out. But I know that had Len Dawson not given his stamp of approval, had Len Dawson not gone to bat for me, there's no way I would have gotten that job. So I was 24, and I was thinking about going to Sacramento, and found out as the Kings season was ending and then leaving that I was going to be doing the Kansas City Chiefs games. And they didn't make the announcement until after the Kings left that I would get that job. But clearly I knew when that buzzer sounded and the Los Angeles Lakers were beating the Kings on that Sunday afternoon in the last NBA regular season game in Kansas City, that my next job was going to be with the Chiefs doing the NFL radio play-by-play, which was is a dream come true, clearly.
More of Danny's Reasonably Irreverent podcast after this.
Hey, Kansas City, Joe Spiker, Easton Roofing, back for another beautiful springtime in Kansas City. We are proud to announce our renewed partnership with Big Brothers Big Sisters of Kansas City. Starting in 2024, a portion of every job sold will be donated to a cause close to my heart. I was a big, and I encourage you to volunteer. And if you hire us for service on your residential or commercial roof, you'll know that a portion of the profits will go to a great cause. So call us at 913-257-5426. Easton Roofing. Integrity matters.
Enjoy all the excitement of football season at the 23rd Street Brewery. From the Jayhawks and college football to the NFL and even live-streamed Lawrence High and Free State football games, you can watch it all at the 23rd Street Brewery. Enjoy the games with your favorite menu item like the Bill Self Mac and Cheese, Naked Nachos, or the Haney Turkey Stack. And wash it all down with your favorite beer like a Wave the Wheat or Crimson Fog. 23rd Street Brewery on the corner of Clinton Parkway and Cassold in Lawrence.
If you'd like to join these and other fine sponsors and market your business on Kansas City's #1 rated podcast, contact us at Danny@DannyKlinkscale.com. Look forward to working with you.
Our guest is Kevin Harlan. Obviously, he's been dubbed on Sports Radio 810, the voice of America, and I can really think of no better appellation for some broadcaster than that. And the rest is history is probably something that could be said, but we're going to get into some of that history. You mentioned just a couple moments ago that you hadn't met your wife yet, and obviously she's been by your side throughout your career, almost, well, we won't say how many years, but over 3 decades. And how did you two happen to meet?
Yeah, 36 years we've been married, and we met during the Big 8 tournament. That time it was called the Big 8 in Kansas City, and that was the Missouri team with Lee Coward and Nathan Bunton. And so I was in Kansas City doing that tournament. And during that weekend, my buddies, and they may have been 25 and 26, but they acted like they were 18. Hey, let's go. And I said, well, I'm working this weekend, and I did my game Saturday, and I met my friends that night for dinner. And because I had a game the next day at Kemper, the championship game I was doing Missouri radio play-by-play. I should have probably said that. I was doing Missouri basketball for Coach Stewart and the University of Missouri. And I 1 o'clock game, I'm at the arena by 10:30. So clearly it's not a big night for me, but I knew going into that weekend that I was supposed to meet somebody named Susan, who was a law student at the University of Oklahoma, who was in town and with friends in our group of friends that we ran around with. And they said, we'd like to introduce you to this Susan. I said, that's fine. So we go to dinner, and then we go, we're all sitting down. And I happened to be sitting next to this girl named Ann. And about 20 minutes into the meal, they say, you're sitting next to the wrong gal. You picked the wrong seat. Susan's over here. And after meeting Ann for the first 10 minutes, I said, I'm good. I'm good right here.
I'm not sitting in the wrong seat.
I'm not moving my seat. And I remember she got up because she was with a couple other girlfriends, and she was a teacher at the time. And she had just gotten out of Oklahoma, University of Oklahoma, ironically enough, the same school that this other gal went to. And she had just gotten out, and I walked her to the door and said, I hope I see you again sometime. And she goes, oh, right, yeah, whatever. And so walked back and did the game the next day with Rod Kelly is who my broadcast partner was, longtime Missouri Tiger broadcaster and a wonderful friend who's no longer with us, unfortunately. And so called Annie up a couple days later. I was going to the NCAA tournament with Missouri. So the night before, I said, you want to go grab a Coca-Cola? And she goes, yeah. So I picked her up, and we went out and had a Coke and talked for about 2 or 3 hours, and left the next day to go do the game. Missouri loses to Rhode Island in Indianapolis. And at the airport, I say, hey, we lost, and I'm coming home. And she goes, all right, I've got a couple friends here staying with me this week. And we were off and running. I brought her some ice cream that night. I turned around and walked away because she was with her buddies. And we went out maybe the next night and went out every night after that. And we probably knew within 2 weeks we were going to get married. We got married. We met March 7th. We got engaged June 14th and married at Christmas. Wow. And we got married. She's from Tulsa. We got married quickly. I'm sure my parents thought, why are you getting married so fast? I said, I said, this is it. When you know, you know. And I knew. And luckily she felt the same way. But when we started dating in March, and then I was basically, when I finished doing the Missouri basketball, I was basically finished. I had nothing to do until the Chiefs started.
Right.
So like I had also, so she started dating me, and she I remember she was telling me the story that she went with her friends out to brunch the next morning after we had met the night before. She said, "So who is this guy, and and what does he do?" And so like, but what's his real job? Like what does he do? How does he make a living? You go, no, that's what he does. That's, and then I didn't work all summer because I
Right.
was off. So she goes, who is this guy? But unfortunately, she found out pretty quickly once they started doing a Missouri game on Saturday in college football, and then the Chiefs on Sunday. And then I went to ESPN just after that, and so I had to leave on Friday and do all that stuff and do the game Saturday, the Chiefs on Sunday, and then so she quickly got a
Right.
taste of what the business in our life was going to be like, and she's never complained, and she's just we've raised 4 kids, and she is the hub of our family, and I can't imagine my life without her. She was. If ever an angel has walked the earth, it is her. She is amazing, and has been from the day I laid eyes on her.
Oh, that is a great story. Well, she also found out your re-entry into the NBA would be as the voice of the Minnesota Timberwolves. That might be something that people will read and know that you lived in Kansas City throughout this time, and obviously split time now. But how did that come about, and what was that like?
Well, I was the Missouri Tigers. This was the year that Norm Stewart had collapsed on a flight going to Norman, Oklahoma during the regular season, and Rich Daly took over. And the Tigers were like 1, 2, 3 in the country. They were highly ranked, top 5 most of the year. Great team, terrific team. But Coach Stewart got ill and couldn't finish the season, so Rich Daly, his assistant, took over. And it just so happened that we were going to go to Minneapolis and be in the Sweet 16. And but on that previous weekend, the first weekend of the tournament, we were in Dallas playing Texas. And Tim Lewicki, who many Kansas Cityans may remember, who's had an incredible career. He helped build the stadium out in Los Angeles. He's been in Seattle, and now he's heading up the Las Vegas effort to get an NBA team and build an arena out there. And he's had this Hall of Fame career in sports management. And he's a big-time player, but he was selected by the Timberwolves from the Comets, the Kansas City Comets, the indoor soccer team of years ago. He was selected to be their president. And he was driving from Kansas City to Minneapolis on that Sunday that we were broadcasting the round of 32 game between Missouri and Texas and Dallas. And heard the broadcast and called me that next day when I got back to Kansas City and said, "Hey, I understand you guys are coming to Minneapolis. Let's go get lunch." I said, "Well, great." I didn't think anything of it. I mean, honest to God, I didn't. I was happy doing Missouri. I was happy doing the Chiefs. We were had our I think Annie was pregnant with our first baby. She was pregnant with our first, or Abigail, who was getting married this summer, by the way. And so we had, we loved our home. We loved our friends. We had just been married a short time, a couple years. And, but I flew up there, had lunch again, thinking I'm just going to see another Kansas Cityan. And during the lunch, he says, "As you know, I'm up here to run the Timberwolves." I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "We'd like you to be our voice." And I said, "You've got to be kidding me." So that weekend was weird because I was up there thinking, well, is this where I want to be? Do I want to get back in the NBA? We're starting a family. There's a lot going on here, a lot of moving parts. And I'm really happy where I am doing Missouri. I was in my dream job doing college football and basketball. And then in the NFL and doing the Chiefs in particular. So that was a huge, huge thing. So I remember flying back and talking with her about it, and flew up there with her a couple weeks later once the Tigers had lost I think they lost in the round I think they lost the Sweet 16 round to Syracuse. So I went back and then they invited her and I to come back up there, see the city, see what the arena was going to be like and all this stuff. And we thought, yeah. So I was really in an impasse. I did not know what to do. And she says, "I'll do whatever you think you need to do for your career." And I was 28 at the time. And she said, she's the one who said, you should call some people that you like in the business, respect in the business, see what they say. So I made 2 calls. I called Albert, and I called Costas, called those 2 guys. And it was like they probably thought I was like the dumbest broadcaster on earth. But what are you? You're going to turn down in that market